appreciate your participation in that. Let me pray for the message. So this morning we're starting a relationship series, and we will get to romantic relationships, but we're starting with friendship. That's why we did this roommate game here. So as I was studying God's Word for this topic, I came across a lot of verses about friends, and some of them were really weird. So I'm going to share a couple of the ones that were just weird friendship verses. In Matthew 20, Jesus told a parable about a vineyard owner who hired workers throughout the day. And at the end of the day, he paid the workers. And the guys who were hired at the first thing in the morning thought that they should deserve more, but he paid everyone the same amount. And they went to complain to him, and here's what the vineyard owner tells one of them. He says, "Friend," calls him friend, "take what belongs to you and go." Friend, leave, get out. Now, that doesn't sound very much like friendship to me. Another one was in Matthew 22. Jesus told a parable of a king who invited anyone and everyone to a wedding banquet for his son. And a bunch of people come in just before the party's about to start. The king notices this guy who didn't have his wedding clothes on. And you might not think that's a big deal, but their wedding garment was offered with the invitation. So he kind of refused it. So the party's about to start. The king says, "Friend," calls him friend again. "How did you get in here without a wedding garment?" The music stops. Everybody stares. Guy feels awkward. He's speechless. The king tells his bouncers, "Tie him up and throw him out." It's not something you do to a friend. So I don't know. Those verses are just weird. I've got a couple current awkward friendship moments from just this last week or so. Grant and I were texting back and forth, and about something to do with the duplex. And then he replied, "Okay, babe, gotta go. I'll see you soon." Another one, another texting thing that happened. I got a kissy face emoji from Cora. And then a couple days later, she got several kissy face emojis back from me. Both of those because Heather took our phones. So both Grant and Cora used the word awkward to describe that. And then Cora switched hers to Akko Taco. But I didn't think those moments were really awkward, just funny. I don't normally reply LOL in my text because I don't normally laugh out loud, but I did to those. The point is, friendship can be a weird thing. There are times when someone pops into our lives and it's like instant best friends, and we love it and savor that, enjoy that. Other times, friendship can just be awkward. Sometimes funny awkward, and sometimes awkward as in, this isn't really friendship. So, one of my best friends from college is named Jeff Brake. And we met during move-in weekend of my sophomore year. It was his freshman year, and he moved in a few rooms down the hall from me. And everyone else in the hallway had moved in. It was like Sunday. Classes were going to start on Monday. And my roommate hadn't moved in yet. And Jeff, I think Jeff's very first words to me were, "If your roommate doesn't show up, can I be your roommate?" And I don't think he saw anything magical in me those first couple of days, just that I was in a double room, and he was in the room the same size, which was called a converted triple, which means they just put 3 people in a double room. So, but his boldness there just started an awesome friendship full of many adventures. And I've had a number of awesome friendships like that through the years. Most of those guys don't live anywhere near Saginaw, though. So they're scattered around Michigan and around the country. And to be honest, I'm kind of in a dry season right now as far as friendship. According to Facebook, I've got over 1,000 friends, which we all know isn't the same. I have many people currently in my life that I consider friends, and many of those I would consider close friends. But in terms of best friendship, it's kind of in a dry spell. Heather is my best friend, my wife Heather, and that's the way it should be in marriage, by far. But God also designs us to have same-gender best friendships as well. So, this is kind of a difficult topic for me to prepare for. And I had to work through some stuff internally before I could really move forward with the message. But I decided to share both sides of that so you can know that I relate. I can relate. If you're in the middle of a group of awesome best friendships, I can relate. It's an awesome place. If you find yourself kind of lacking or wanting in that at the moment, I can relate to that too. So, as I was working through this topic personally, I spent a lot of time talking with God about it, just asking where to go with this topic. And he kept bringing me back to this one thought. Everybody loves the receiving end of friendship. Everybody loves the receiving end of friendship. If you want to take notes, put a ... at the end of that, because I'm going to finish that thought at the end of the message. Everybody loves the receiving end of friendships. You know that you do. Your best friend does. Your roommate does. Your pastor does. The international student you see every week does. The person who sits in the corner and doesn't talk to anybody does. Everybody loves the receiving end of friendship. But do we all see the potential problem with that? If everyone's on the receiving end, but not everyone's on the giving end, someone's going to be left holding the bag. If everyone wants to receive it, but not everyone is good at or puts effort into giving it, it doesn't add up. So, I hope that invites some obvious questions that we'll answer this morning. If I want to receive friendship, what's my responsibility for giving it? How do I do that? What does that look like? How can I be a good friend and not just expect to have a good friend? How can I be a good friend and not just expect to have a good friend? And don't fool yourself about this topic. No one is beyond the realm of improving in friendships. It's not so bad that there's no hope that it'll ever get better. And it's not so good that you won't ever have to put something into it to retain that friendship or to make it even better. So, fortunately, the Bible shares some wisdom about friendship, being a good friend, in addition to the weird verses that use the word friend that didn't have anything to do with friendship. We're going to cover several of those passages and briefly, and we're going to look at these tips that God has for us for giving friendship. Don't be overwhelmed by, we're going to go through 7 tips. Don't be overwhelmed by that. And don't just nod and agree and move on unchanged. As we go through these, listen for the one that God's going to point out to you the most. So, 7 tips for giving friendship. The first passage is in Luke 14, verses 10 and 11. Luke 14, verses 10 and 11. Jesus gave instruction when he noticed people had a me-first mentality and among their companions. At that time, when people went to banquets, for whatever reason, there's kind of a hierarchy in the seating order. The more honored you were, the further towards this one end of the table you would sit at. And of course, everybody wanted to sit at that end of the table. So, I don't think we have the other mic set up this morning, so I'll just read these passages. Luke 14, verses 10 and 11. It says, "When you are invited, go and sit in the lowest place, so that when your host comes, he may say to you, 'Friend, move up higher.' Then you'll be honored in the presence of all who sit at the table with you. Whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted." So the action point for this is make it about my friends, not about me. If you want to give in friendship, make it about the friends, not about me. If I'm going to give in friendship, it can't be about me all the time. Don't be someone who has to have the spotlight, who has to be the center of the conversation, who has to bring everything that anyone says back to their experience. And, I shouldn't be so excited about what I have to say that I make a habit of interrupting everybody else. At the other end of that spectrum, I shouldn't be falsely humble. I shouldn't be down on myself all the time, because when we do that, that's making it about me as well. So giving friendship is making it about others. And of course, if they can reciprocate that, then it's a win-win situation. So don't exalt yourself. Let others do that for you, like in Jesus' story. And we can be okay if nobody does exalt you at this particular occasion. The second passage is Proverbs 19:6. Proverbs is about in the middle of the Bible. Proverbs 19:6 says, "Many seek the favor of a generous man, and everyone is a friend to a man who gives gifts." So here's a clear testimony of the point we made earlier. Everyone loves the receiving end of friendship. But I think it also gives us another tip here. And that's to be generous. The second tip for giving friendship is to be generous. We can give time to friends. We can share our resources with friends. We can practice hospitality. We can be generous with our words by giving encouragement to our friends. If we want to grow in our friendship, we cannot build a reputation for only being a taker. That doesn't mean we rob others of the opportunity to be generous. Like, we take turns with that. It just means that we do our part in being generous. The third passage is Proverbs 17:17. Proverbs 17:17 says, "A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity." So, the third way to give friendship is to always show care. Always show care. A friend loves at all times. That means even when they're not well rested, well fed, and unstressed. Even when those things are happening, we're still supposed to love at all times. Of course, a friend giving friendship will make it known that they care, that they always care. The person on the receiving end isn't just going to telepathically realize that you care unless we communicate that through our words and through our actions. So the fourth passage is another proverb, Proverb 27, verse 9. Proverb 27, verse 9 says, "Oil and perfume make the heart glad. The sweetness of a friend comes from his earnest counsel." So the fourth way to give friendship is to give good counsel. Give good counsel. Talking about real things and having depth in a friendship brings sweetness to the relationship, like the proverb says. If you've ever been to see a counselor or know how that works, you know that someone who's a good counselor would ask a lot of questions and listen for the answers. So we need to be good listeners, listening to our friend, listening to God's input about what we're talking about. And then we don't just give them the counsel they want to hear, we give them the counsel that they need to hear. Which is what is the earnest, heartfelt, life-giving, true information that they need to hear. Sometimes that's advice about an upcoming decision. Sometimes it's a rebuke about a past decision or a thread of decisions. Okay, the next one is from 3 John, verses 13 through 15. There's the book of John, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And then there's 3 short letters from John at the end of the Bible. This is the third letter of John. It's just one chapter, so it's verses 13 through 15. It says, "I have much to write to you, but I do not want to do so with pen and ink. I hope to see you soon, and we will talk face to face. Peace to you. The friends here send their greetings. Greet the friends there by name." So our fifth tip at giving friendship is to seek personal interaction. Seek personal interaction. Using a person's name is a good friendship tool, especially at the beginning of a friendship. And if anyone says, "Oh, I'm no good at names," that's not an excuse to not try. When you meet someone, you carry around a memo pad and take notes, or punch it into your phone. I talked with Derek today, and then you'll have a little thing to stick in your mind to remember their name. The other thing that helps make it personal is having face-to-face interaction, face-to-face communication. I saw a footnote about that phrase, and it said that phrase face-to-face in the Greek was literally mouth-to-mouth. And I'm sure Corey would think mouth-to-mouth communication is ako taco. But the idea there is in-person conversation. Don't just rely on social media. Be with your friends. Make it personal. Someone who gives in friendship is going to take time to be with their friends. And they're also, when they're with somebody, they're not going to spend all their time on their phone with somebody else. Giving in friendship means making it personal, having that personal interaction. We'll cover a couple more. The next tip on giving friendship is from Luke 7, verses 6 and 7. Luke 7, verses 6 and 7. And when Jesus went with them, he was not far from the house. The centurion sent friends. And Jesus went with them. When he was not far from the house, the centurion sent friends, saying to him, Lord, do not trouble yourself, for I am not worthy to have you come under my roof. Therefore, I did not presume to come to you, but say the word, and let my servant be healed. So there's this Roman commander. He didn't feel worthy for Jesus to come into his house. When someone feels overwhelmed or burdened about something, we can shoulder that burden, help them out, bring it before Jesus, and pray for them, keep praying for them, and keep track of it. Like, you got that little note space to keep someone's name, you can put a prayer request on there too, and then you can remember to keep praying about that, and help carry the burdens of our friends. The last passage we'll cover is Acts 10, verses 21 through 24. Acts 10, verses 21 through 24. It says, And Peter went down to the men and said, I am the one you're looking for. What is the reason for your coming? They said, Cornelius, a centurion, an upright and God-fearing man, who is well spoken of by the whole Jewish nation, was directed by a holy angel to send for you to come to his house and to hear what you have to say. So he invited them to be his guests. The next day he rose and went away with them. Some of the brothers from Joppa accompanied him. And on the following day they entered Caesarea. Cornelius was expecting them and had called together his relatives and close friends. So this Roman commander named Cornelius was a God-fearing, generous man, but he didn't know Jesus. He wasn't saved yet. And when he was told to send for Peter to learn about how to be saved, he invited all his family and his close friends to be in on that, to hear that as well. So our seventh tip is about giving friendship is to bring friends with me on my spiritual journey. Bring friends with me on my spiritual journey. The world might tell me to keep it to myself. But a relationship with Jesus is the most important decision that we could ever make. Do I want my friends to be in heaven with me? Just because they say they're a Christian, just like with Cornelius, he was a God-fearing man. He gave, he was generous, he honored God, but he didn't know Jesus. And so just because someone's got a church background doesn't mean they get. That doesn't mean they've responded to accept Jesus' offer of salvation. So, those new business cards that we gave out at the cards party that we have, if anyone wants to take them, have the gospel written on the back. It can be a great resource. You can put one in your wallet or your Bible, and you can kind of ask some questions. Hey, was there ever a point when you responded to Jesus? That's what cases are for. Was there ever a point that you responded to Jesus? And then you can kind of figure out, tell me about that. And then you know what their story is, or if they don't have one yet, and you can work on that together. So, and if they're already saved, and God's doing something in my life, why wouldn't I want to share that with my friends? Hey, this is what God's doing, and that helps develop that depth with our friends. So a true friend would share about the most important thing in their life. And hopefully, if we're following Jesus, He's the most important thing in our life. So there we have 7 tips from the Bible about giving friendship. Like I said earlier, ask God to help you zero in on the one tip that you need to focus on the most right now. That's your application for this morning. So your challenge: ask God to help you zero in on the one tip that needs the most improvement. That's your challenge. Ask God to help you zero in on the one tip that needs the most improvement right now. That might be different for you and the person sitting next to you. For me, probably right now it'd be the point of always showing care. I think care, but I don't always express it well. So what's going to happen when we apply this, when we start giving friendship and not just expect to receive it? Well, we're going to become more the individuals that God wants us to be. We're going to build some depth of friendships, some best friendships that will last a long time. And it's going to bless this community as well. So at the beginning, I said I was going to continue that takeaway idea. Everyone loves the receiving end of friendship. Everyone loves the receiving end of friendship. So what am I going to do to help give that? Everyone loves the receiving end of friendship. So what am I going to do to help give that? Let me pray.